What on earth is this? You may ask. I've done a video on Spear 3 before. Why am I repeating myself? And that is true, I have done one on Spear 3 before, but this isn't quite the same. You most likely know the Spear missile, something I nicknamed the Scalpel, for its ability to precisely destroy targets, to travel from a standoff range, to use an integrated pod system to launch from air platforms, and the thing I'm going to talk about today doesn't differ in that regard at all. Spear is legendary, to the point that doing a video on it was largely pointless, because it's amassed such a following, such fame from the success of Brimstone. Spear has gained a certain level of celebrity among military enthusiasts. Yet, even this apparent enthusiasm, it focuses on the explosive potential of Spear. A lot like the videos you see on YouTube that feature military content, it focuses on Spear's incredible, perhaps, ability to travel long range, to hit targets precisely, to use its powerful warhead. It's something pretty incredible, of course, and it's something new and exciting. But this happens to the point that a major Spear variant is overlooked. Everyone's focused on the explosions. Well, today, not so much. The thing that we're going to focus on today is the electronic warfare variant of Spear. Electronic warfare, for those who are unfamiliar, it's a type of warfare that employs the use of the electromagnetic wave spectrum to do tactical damage to a target. The principle is simple. If comms don't work, if radar doesn't work, if sensors don't work, then modern warfare doesn't work. At least not for the enemy that's being hit by the electronic warfare strike itself. Now, it's gone through many iterations. In recent years, electronic warfare has perhaps become more mainstream. It's not as much warfare that requires physicality, but nonetheless, given the increase in technology, it has come into the mainstream because it's been integrated within more physical systems. There has been a transition from electronic warfare being targeting infrastructure directly, generally requiring some sort of boots-on-the-ground operation that involves disabling, let's say, enemy infrastructure or standoff radar disruptions that were basically using some sort of physical reflective matter. Nowadays, it's far more close-range attack systems for the purpose of having a far, far better effect, and they are far more effective nowadays. And many speculate, and I'd probably agree, that we are entering an age, and BAE Systems predicted this as well, that we're entering an age where electronic warfare is becoming ever more important, because, as we've said, if electronic systems don't work, then nothing works nowadays, because it is all largely dependent on technology. And so the question is, what's going to happen with this in the coming years? There are already systems being developed to protect from this. Well, the systems that are actively doing this are pretty well known nowadays. And not just Spear, but generally this has gained popularity from the popularity of the EA-18 Growler. For those of you who don't know, it's an electronic warfare variant of the F-18 Super Hornet, and it's designed to disrupt enemy communications and radar on a more tactical level, more close air support, carrying out missions that perhaps have high value, but it's not just standing miles and miles away, and it's not doing something which takes about a week to actually sneak up to the enemy target and disrupt any infrastructure. It's something that happens on a far, far quicker basis. So we've seen it come perhaps more to the fore through the E-18 Growler, because the F-18 is an incredibly popular plane, and people like talking about that. But Spear EW takes this a step further. It doesn't require manned systems, of course, because it's a missile. And the EW, of course, stands for electronic warfare. And given that we're coming up to short leave, I have a large pile of electronic warfare stacking up that is all due tomorrow. Anyway, Spear EW, it's been in development for a similar purpose to the EA-18 Growler. It's designed to disrupt or disable integrated air sort of defense systems, ground-based static or mobile AA systems, or I think it can also suppress ship-based radar systems, and that makes it really quite versatile, because it's not actually having to put a man in danger, but nonetheless it is doing a lot of damage and on a more varied range of platforms. Spear EW doesn't carry a conventional warhead. As I've said earlier, it's not so much explosions, it's not firepower, but it is tactical and strategic prowess. That means that it has to change rather drastically to fit its new role. And one of those things is that it's more survivable. But the point is, it's not just a warhead anymore. You're not just trying to blow stuff up, so you have to change the actual ability. The thing that made Spear so useful for this was its standoff capability, its ability to loiter, its ability to effectively travel long ranges and still hit precisely. And so that's why it's been chosen. Within Spear EW, there are two basic modes, one of which is stand-in jamming, and the other of which is sort of decoy mission orientation. The former is designed to actively suppress, disrupt, disable enemy communications and radar systems. More classical electronic warfare, if you were to think about it. And the latter, this decoy mission orientation, it's designed to act, really as it says on the tin, as a decoy, creating false signatures, I guess, in order to provoke air defenses or test areas of entry to confirm reports, or just confuse the enemy. And this means that it's really modular. Even though it's just got two setups, those have a huge range of value and each is incredibly versatile on its own. It's configurable, and given its ability to be used in either way when fully loaded, in a mission environment, in an active environment, that makes it really versatile, really rapid in that modularity, and that gives it a great range of purpose and great effect. So in regard to function, it acts as a Spear does. It uses standoff range, GPS navigation, all the trimmings really, all of the above, but it uses, for a warhead, a smaller, miniaturized electronic warfare warhead. It has more room for stuff within its shell, and that's generally used for fuel. That means range is increased, which is already something that Spear prides itself on, and loiter time is increased, which again is something that Spear prides itself on. The time that it can take to delay a strike by staying airborne around an area increases in a great manner, and that makes it so much more useful because, again, it can be used in a far better way, a far more flexible way. Something else that Spear EW does is that it's really quite useful in that its turbojet propulsion system powers the electronic warfare warhead itself. So what that means, again, is that there's more space. This miniaturized warhead is even smaller because you don't have to use up these sort of key infrastructure areas within the munition. It doesn't require a more logistically difficult, more mission complicating differential power source. It just uses the propulsion turbojet, which is brilliant. Spear EW is really incredible, in my view, because it can synergize with other systems, both other munitions and vehicles, in its ability to change purpose from direct electronic attack to decoy missions. And moreover, really, the use of the electronic warfare munition itself is useful. It lowers mission costs. It means there's a reduced cost of production in itself because it's merely electronic component rather than having to assemble some stuff that can be quite dangerous. Spear EW will be used in the same way that Spear is. It will be launched from an air platform using the, triple pod system, so there will be 3 on a pod, which will be integrated into the F-35's munition framework within the internal bay. And currently it's being adapted to fit on the hardpoints of the Typhoon and the Gripen, although I think probably, given it will be upgraded over the next few years, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw it on some more advanced aircraft very, very soon as the new, perhaps not generation, but new iterations of, past planes do come out. So I really do recommend you go look at Spear EW because despite its more explosive counterpart being incredibly exciting and incredibly effective, Spear EW really does have huge tactical and strategic value. So don't overlook it.